Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into your cybersecurity research. You've got articles and notes and even Carl F. Kelley Jr.'s Cybersecurity 101 from July 2024. It's a lot.
It is.
So we're going to extract the golden nuggets and help you navigate this complex world.
Yeah.
You're clearly someone who wants to go beyond just the headlines, and Kelley's book is perfect for that.
Yeah.
He dives deep but also gives really practical advice.
Kelley's emphasis on the urgency of cybersecurity in our increasingly digital world is spot on. He doesn't just say it's important. He lays out exactly why this isn't just about protecting our data.
Right.
It impacts everything from global finance to national security.
It's scary to think about the scope.
Yeah.
But also empowering to realize that by understanding these threats, we're already a step ahead.
Absolutely.
What really stood out to me was Kelley's story about the NotPetya attack in 2017.
That's a powerful example, and it illustrates how these attacks aren't just hypothetical. They have real-world consequences. NotPetya, disguised as ransomware, actually caused billions of dollars in damage to companies like Maersk, the shipping giant. And this is where Kelley's expertise shines. He breaks down how something seemingly technical, like malware, can cripple global supply chains, impacting us all.
So it's not just about our personal devices getting hacked.
Right.
It's about understanding the interconnectedness of it all.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the common threats Kelley demystifies. He goes beyond just listing them. He gives specific examples of how they work, like those Trojan horses disguised as helpful software.
The example of the fake Adobe Flash update is chilling. It looked legitimate. Even had the Adobe logo, but once installed, it gave hackers complete control of the victim's computer. Kelley uses this to highlight the psychological aspect. We're so used to updating software, we don't always think critically about the source.
That's like those fake package delivery notices.
Oh, yeah.
They prey on our anticipation and make us click without thinking. Kelley really dives into phishing and social engineering, doesn't he?
He does. And he emphasizes how these attacks exploit our human nature, our trust, our helpfulness, even our fear of missing out. He gives that great example of a phishing email targeting Netflix users.
The one that looked like a password reset, but actually led to a fake login page designed to steal credentials.
Exactly. And Kelley points out how they even used personalized greetings and the victim's actual account information to make it seem more convincing. It's like they're reading our minds.
Okay, that's just plain creepy. It makes you realize you need to be suspicious of everything. What about ransomware and spyware? Those seem particularly scary.
Kelley doesn't sugarcoat it. He lays out the potential devastation of ransomware, especially for businesses. Think of all your data-encrypted operations grinding to a halt. The pressure to pay the ransom to get back online.
It's like a digital hostage situation. And spyware operating silently in the background is like something out of a spy movie.
Kelley uses the analogy of a digital peeping Tom, stealing your information, tracking your activity, even accessing your webcam without you ever knowing. He mentions a case where spyware was used to steal banking credentials and drain a victim's account.
So these threats are real. They're happening right now.
Yeah.
What I appreciate about Kelley's book is that he doesn't just scare us. He gives us practical strategies to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And he starts with something we all struggle with: passwords.
Strong passwords are the foundation of good cybersecurity. And Kelley breaks down exactly what that means. Forget password 123. He recommends at least 12 characters, a mix of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special symbols.
He even suggests using passphrases.
Yes.
Strings of random words,
Right.
which are easier to remember but harder to crack, like flamingo dancing on a spaceship.
Exactly. And he emphasizes the importance of using a different password for each account. This is where password managers come in. They securely store all those complex passwords, so you only need to remember one master password.
Okay, that's a relief, because my brain can only handle so many combinations. What about two-factor authentication? It seems like a hassle sometimes. But Kelley makes a strong case for it.
He does. He explains how that extra layer of security, like a code sent to your phone, can be the difference between your account being compromised and staying secure. He uses the example of a celebrity whose Twitter account was hacked because they didn't have two-factor authentication enabled.
It's a simple step, but it can make a huge difference.
Oh.
Kelley also provides a lot of advice on safe browsing habits. What are some of the key things he highlights?
He stresses being cautious about clicking on links, especially in emails or social media messages. He recommends hovering over the link to see the actual URL. If it looks suspicious or doesn't match what the text says, don't click.
And be wary of those shortened URLs you often see in QR codes. Who knows where they might lead?
He has a whole section on QR code safety, which is so timely given how ubiquitous they are now. He suggests using a QR code scanner app that can preview the URL before you open it.
That's a great tick. I never thought about that. He also talks about social media savvy, right?
He does. And it's not just about protecting your privacy settings. It's about being mindful of who you connect with and what information you share. He gives the example of a job seeker whose social media posts were scrutinized by a potential employer.
So our online presence can have real-world consequences. It's all about being aware of our digital footprint.
Exactly. And Kelley doesn't just tell us what to do, he explains why it's important, like with data encryption. He breaks down how it works using simple analogies, but also going deeper into the technical aspect.
He explains how encryption scrambles our data, making it unreadable to anyone without the right key. He even dives into the different types of encryption used for websites and personal files.
He also highlights the importance of making sure websites you visit are using HTTPS. That little padlock in the address bar indicates that your connection is secure and your data is encrypted.
So it's not just about our passwords and devices. It's about understanding the security of the websites and services we use.
Exactly. And Kelley is a big advocate for something that a lot of people overlook: credit freezes. He calls it our new best friend when it comes to preventing identity theft.
Credit freezes always sounded complicated to me, but Kelley explains it in a way that makes sense.
He breaks down how a credit freeze restricts access to your credit report, making it much harder for identity thieves to open new accounts in your name. And he stresses that it's free and easy to do.
So it's like putting a lock on your credit file.
Exactly. And he even provides a step-by-step guide on how to freeze your credit with the major credit bureaus.
This is all great advice for individuals, but what about businesses? Does Kelley address cybersecurity in the corporate world as well?
He absolutely does. He dedicates a whole chapter to cybersecurity for businesses, and he starts by emphasizing that it's not just about technology, but about people.
You human factor again.
Precisely. He stresses the importance of employee training and awareness. Well-trained employees are a company's first line of defense against many attacks.
So it's not just about having fancy software. It's about making sure everyone on the team knows how to spot a phishing email or avoid clicking on suspicious links.
Exactly. He provides a framework for building a culture of security awareness within an organization, from developing strong security policies to conducting regular training sessions.
He also talks about the importance of protecting company data, right?
He does, and he goes beyond just saying use encryption. He dives into specific strategies like access controls, data loss prevention tools, and the importance of having a comprehensive data backup and recovery plan.
Backups are like insurance for your data, right? In case something goes wrong, you can restore it without having to pay a king's ransom.
Exactly. And he highlights the importance of having a clear incident response plan in place, basically a roadmap for what to do if, or, in Kelley's view, when a cybersecurity incident occurs.
So it's not just about prevention. It's about being prepared to respond effectively if something does happen.
Absolutely. He provides a step-by-step guide for handling different types of incidents, from malware infections to data breaches, emphasizing the importance of communication containment and recovery.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the most common threats, practical strategies for protection, and the importance of building a culture of security awareness in businesses. But there's one more frontier Kelley explores that I'm particularly fascinated by: the role of AI in cybersecurity.
That's where things get really interesting and a bit unsettling. Kelley doesn't shy away from the potential of AI to be both a powerful tool and a significant threat in this ever-evolving landscape.
You were just discussing how AI is changing the game in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
It's exciting, but also a bit scary, like we're stepping into uncharted territory.
Kelley captures that duality perfectly. He explains how AI can be an incredible asset for defense,
Okay.
analyzing vast amounts of data to detect patterns and anomalies that humans might miss. It's like having a tireless digital watchdog constantly on guard.
He gives the example of AI being used to detect those zero-day exploits, vulnerabilities that are unknown even to software developers.
Right. AI can analyze code and network traffic to spot those hidden weaknesses before attackers can exploit them.
Oh, wow.
It's like having a detective who can predict crimes before they happen.
But there's the flip side, too. AI in the wrong hands could be a powerful weapon.
Absolutely.
Kelley talks about AI-powered malware that can adapt and evolve,
Yeah.
making it incredibly difficult to detect and defend against.
He uses the analogy of a shape-shifting virus constantly mutating to evade our defenses. And it's not just theoretical. We're already seeing examples of AI being used to create more sophisticated phishing attacks.
The example he gives of AI generating fake news articles and social media posts that are almost indistinguishable from real ones is chilling.
It's a reminder that we can't just rely on technology to protect us.
Right.
We need to develop our own critical thinking skills and be aware of the potential for manipulation.
It's like we're in an arms race. As our defenses get stronger, so do the attacks. But let's get back to some of the specific threats Kelley covers.
Okay.
I was particularly intrigued by his section on denial of service attacks.
DOS attacks are a classic example of cyber warfare, overwhelming a target with traffic to disrupt its operations. Kelley uses the analogy of flooding a store with so many shoppers that legitimate customers can't get in.
He also talks about distributed denial of service DDoS attacks,
Right.
where the traffic comes from multiple sources, like a swarm of bees attacking a hive.
The Mirai botnet attack in 2016 is a prime example. It crippled major websites like Twitter and Netflix by using thousands of compromised IoT devices to flood them with traffic.
It's scary to think that our smart refrigerators and security cameras could be turned against us. What can we do to protect ourselves against these kinds of attacks?
Kelley provides a multi-layered approach, starting with strong network security measures like firewalls and intrusion detection systems. He emphasizes the importance of working with your internet service provider to identify and block suspicious traffic.
He also recommends using specialized DDoS mitigation services that can detect and filter out malicious traffic before it reaches your servers.
It's like having a team of digital bouncers who can identify and eject troublemakers before they disrupt the party.
Another threat Kelley explores that's particularly relevant to businesses is the insider threat. It's not always about external hackers.
Right.
Sometimes the danger comes from within.
Right. It could be a disgruntled employee, a careless contractor, or even a well-meaning but naive intern who accidentally clicks on a phishing link. Kelley emphasizes that insider threats can be both intentional and unintentional.
He gives the example of a financial analyst who downloaded sensitive data onto a personal USB drive to work from home and then lost the drive on the train.
It's a reminder that data security is not just about technology. It's about human behavior and organizational culture.
Kelley provides a framework for mitigating insider threats, starting with strong security policies and employee training programs.
He also emphasizes the importance of access controls, making sure employees only have access to the data they need to do their jobs.
It's like having a system of checks and balances to prevent any one person from having too much power or access to sensitive information.
Kelley also stresses the importance of monitoring employee activity and having systems in place to detect unusual behavior that could indicate a potential insider threat.
Okay, we've talked about the threats, but what about the tools we can use to protect ourselves? Kelley dedicates a whole section to recommended cybersecurity tools and apps. It's like a shopping list for digital security.
He starts with the essentials: antivirus and anti-malware software. These are your first line of defense against those malicious programs designed to infiltrate your devices and steal your data.
He recommends choosing a reputable security suite that includes real-time protection, automatic updates, and regular system scans.
And it's not enough to just install it and forget it. You need to keep it up to date and run regular scans to make sure it's working effectively.
He also recommends using a firewall, both for your individual devices and your home or business network.
A firewall acts like a gatekeeper, controlling the flow of traffic in and out of your network. Kelley explains how to configure your firewall to block unauthorized access and prevent malicious intrusions.
He also talks about VPNs, or virtual private networks,
Right.
which encrypt your internet traffic and mask your IP address, making it much harder for hackers to track your activity or steal your data.
He recommends using a VPN whenever you're connecting to public Wi-Fi, which can be notoriously insecure.
He also talks about password managers, which are essential for creating and storing strong, unique passwords for all your online accounts.
Kelley recommends choosing a password manager that offers multi-factor authentication and automatic password generation.
He also emphasizes the importance of data backup and recovery solutions. It's like having an insurance policy for your digital life.
He recommends using a combination of cloud-based backup services and external hard drives to ensure that you have multiple copies of your most important data stored securely.
So it's not just about preventing attacks. It's about being prepared to recover if something does go wrong.
Exactly. And Kelley stresses that cybersecurity is not just about technology.
Right.
It's about knowledge and awareness.
Okay.
He recommends staying informed by following reputable cybersecurity blogs and news sites, and even participating in online forums and communities where you can learn from experts and share tips with others.
He also emphasizes the importance of being skeptical and thinking critically about the information you encounter online, especially when it comes to emails, social media posts, and websites that ask for your personal information. It's like being a digital detective, always looking for clues and verifying information before you trust it.
And if something seems too good to be true,
Yeah.
it probably is.
Kelley does a great job of empowering us to take control of our own digital security. But before we get too comfortable, he also tackles some common misconceptions about cybersecurity, those myths that can lull us into a false sense of security. We've been digging deep into your cybersecurity research, and now we're getting to the part where Kelley debunks some common myths. These aren't just harmless misconceptions. They can actually make us more vulnerable to attacks.
He starts with a big one, the idea that I'm not a target because I'm not important. A lot of people think hackers are only interested in big corporations or celebrities. But that's simply not true.
Yeah, it's easy to think, who would want my data? I'm just an average person. But Kelley argues that everyone is a potential target in today's interconnected world.
He uses the analogy of a burglar who doesn't just target mansions. They'll also break into apartments and even steal packages off porches. Every piece of data has value, and cybercriminals often cast a wide net, scooping up as much information as they can.
So it's not about being important. It's about being connected. And another myth he tackles is that antivirus software is enough to protect me.
Antivirus is essential, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. Kelley compares it to wearing a seatbelt. It's important,
Right.
but it won't protect you from every type of accident. You need a multi-layered approach that includes strong passwords, two-factor authentication, safe browsing habits, and all those other strategies we've discussed.
He also debunks the myth that I'll know if my system is compromised. A lot of attacks are designed to operate silently, stealing data or spying on your activity without you ever noticing.
Kelley highlights the importance of being proactive, monitoring your accounts for suspicious activity, checking your credit report regularly, and keeping an eye out for any unusual behavior on your devices.
It's like being a homeowner who regularly checks their locks and windows. You don't wait until you see a burglar to start securing your home. And what about that age-old myth that Macs are immune to malware?
Kelley sets the record straight on that one. While Macs have historically been less targeted than Windows systems, they are not invincible. There's malware out there for all operating systems, and it's crucial to have proper security measures in place regardless of what device you're using.
So no tech tribe is truly immune. We're all in this together. This one really hits home for me. The myth that software updates are optional.
Those updates can be annoying, but they often contain critical security patches that address known vulnerabilities. Kelley compares it to ignoring a recall notice for your car. You might be lucky for a while, but eventually that ignored problem could lead to a serious breakdown.
So those pop-ups are actually our digital mechanics, trying to keep our systems running smoothly and safely. And Kelley debunks a few other myths that are particularly relevant to businesses, like the idea that cybersecurity is only the IT department's responsibility.
He stresses that it's a shared responsibility. Everyone in an organization, from the CEO to the interns, needs to be aware of the risks and follow those security best practices.
It's like fire safety. Everyone needs to know how to use a fire extinguisher and evacuate the building, not just the fire marshal. And he also addresses that common misconception that public Wi-Fi is safe if it's password protected.
A password doesn't guarantee security. Kelley explains that public Wi-Fi networks can be easily compromised even if they have a password. He recommends using a VPN whenever you're connecting to public Wi-Fi to encrypt your traffic and protect your data.
It's like assuming a restaurant is clean just because they have a no shirt, no shoes, no service sign.
Yeah.
You still need to look around and use your judgment.
Exactly. And Kelley's final myth-busting message is one of empowerment. He reminds us that we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We can take control of our own cybersecurity by learning about the risks, adopting good habits, and using the tools and resources available to us.
He doesn't want us to be paranoid, but he does want us to be informed and proactive. It's like learning to swim. It might seem scary at first, but once you have the knowledge and skills, you can navigate the waters with confidence.
And he emphasizes that cybersecurity is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing journey of learning, adapting, and staying vigilant.
Well, I feel like I've learned a lot from this deep dive into your cybersecurity research, guided by Carl F. Kelley Jr.'s Cybersecurity 101. We've explored the threats, the strategies, the tools, and most importantly, the mindset we need to navigate this ever-evolving digital world.
It's been a fascinating exploration, and I hope it's empowered you to take control of your own cybersecurity journey.
Remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.